Hey y'all, iRick Guy here, back again from the Appalachian Ocean, and today I want to talk about the Mac Mini M4. So if you're shopping for the Mac Mini M4, you've hopefully found the best video. Now within this video, before I get into the meat, I'm going to let everybody know whether you're technical or not, this video is for you. I'm going to explain my professional opinions in regards to the Mac Mini M4 in a very hopefully easy to understand fashion. Now a quick background of me. Been using my computers my entire life. I'm an old dude, man. I got all this gray hair, and I've been using Mac. Actually, I did not start using Mac until they released OS 10, which is Unix, and that was around the time they had the old iMacs, the colorful CRT, you know, big fat ones, and brightly colored fat Macs. And that's when I started using Mac. I've been using Mac exclusively ever since, except for my really highly nerdy stuff where I use Linux and Unix on my servers. But so Mac Mini M4, is it good? Is it awesome? Is it the best Mac released yet? So Mac Mini M4, as you can see here, it's a small computer. It's got on the back, it's got 3 ports, USB-C sized. On the front, it's got 2. Now the ones on the rear, depending upon which Mac Mini specification you go for, at the time of filming this video, if you go for the Mac Mini M4 with the M4 Pro, you'll get Thunderbolt 5, which is faster. If you just go with the base model Mac Mini M4 like I did, you get Thunderbolt 4. Is it? Yeah, it's 4. It's the slower one, but it's still blazing fast. And that's going to segue into my next point. Do you really need the faster Thunderbolt that the faster and more expensive M4 Pro brings to the table? Well, that's what this video is about, so we're all going to break it down. Now, depending upon your use case, that will help you to determine which Mac Mini would be best for you. Now, for me, this channel where you're watching this, iRick Guy's Adventure Channel, youtube.com/iRick Guy, I've got thousands of videos. I film a ton of YouTube videos. I edit those videos using my Mac computer using Final Cut Pro. It was Final Cut Pro 10, now it's Final Cut Pro 11. It's Final Cut Pro 11 released a few weeks ago as of the time of filming this video. So for me, with my Mac Mini M4, again, I did not go with the Pro, with the M4 Pro. I just went with the base Mac Mini M4. One thing I did do, now the good thing about the Mac Mini M4 is that the standard amount of memory is 16 gigs, 16 GB. And for most people that's probably more than enough. For me, with my extensive 4K video edits and photo editing within Lightroom, editing raw photos that I capture on my Sony Alpha camera, 16 gigs is more than enough. But unless you're using your Mac for something highly specialized, you know, you're a scientist or something like that, there's probably not a need to go with more memory. Now if you've got a bottomless budget, yeah, just max the memory out. I mean, if money doesn't matter to you, just max it out, because what memory will do will allow more programs to run concurrently. And especially if you're a highly scientific person, you got tons of things going on concurrently, the extra memory would benefit you. But for your standard user, 16 gig is probably more than enough. Now the storage in the Mac Mini, the base is fine, unless you want to have the ability to have a little bit extra storage. So if you're using your Mac Mini for checking email, editing documents, maybe a spreadsheets, some basic tasks like that, browsing the web, maybe streaming some videos from online streaming services, the base storage is probably more than enough. Now, if you want to have the luxury of being able to store, a little bit of photos and videos inside the Mac Mini itself, if money's not an issue, you may want to bump it up. I bumped mine up, not much, but I did go to the 1 terabyte internal storage. So my Mac Mini M4, and by the way, you can expand this video's description and click the link there to find where to order the Mac Mini M4 and the various accessories that I use that I'm about to talk about. But for me, I went with the 16 gig memory, and I did bump the internal storage up to 1 terabyte. The only reason I did that is that I probably will install quite a bit of applications locally on the Mac, and I want those to be running from the built-in SSD. For all my big storage, which I film a ton of 4K and even 8K video. For all of that, I'm going to store externally on a very inexpensive and very fast external SSD storage device. Check out my separate video. I'll flash up a YouTube card and I'll link that video within this video's description too. But basically save money by, I mean, I did spend a little bit extra because I went to 1 terabyte. I could have stuck with the base storage and reduced the cost even more, but all of my video edits, I store those externally on this, what I linked within this video's description, the external storage. Very affordable aftermarket way to add storage. I've got a 2 terabyte external storage, and I've just created, at the time of filming this, a 4 terabyte external storage. So when I'm editing videos within Final Cut Pro 11, boom, it's stored on the external storage. So it's not sucking up any of my my Mac Mini M4's built-in storage, which is nice. And I'm still getting very fluid and speedy, you know, no noticeable lag at all, video edits and video exports. And the same would be applicable if you're using your Mac. Maybe you're a photographer and you've got a lot of large, physically large files, raw image files. You know, in that scenario, even if you're not a video editor, you would probably want to attach, like I did, you know, create your own inexpensive external storage device and attach it to your Mac Mini. So is the Mac Mini great? I'll go as far as to say I think it's the best Mac. The reason being, not just the physically small footprint of the Mac Mini M4. Obviously it has no spinning hard drive in it, so it's whisper quiet, and don't notice any thermal issues. The ability to connect to most any monitor, mouse, and keyboard is great. And you can see the monitor that I'm using. It's a massive monitor, massive 4K monitor. So the Mac Mini is great because alternatively, if somebody wanted, you know, if they want, say, the iMac route, at the time of filming this, the iMac options would be limited to smaller displays. If you want a massive display like I'm using, and yes, I've linked it within this video's description too, the Mac Mini is great because boom, you just bring your own monitor, whether it's large, small, maybe you bring multiple monitors. You know, you do what you want to do. Mouse and keyboard, completely up to you. You could use the Apple branded mouse and keyboard. You could use the Apple branded trackpad, or I guess I should say touchpad and keyboard. I'm using this third-party one. I've linked it within this video's description. I like it. Very nice feel and very affordable. And I think it looks cool too. You know, that's one thing I know with the iMac, that Apple offers their keyboard and you know, touchpad in a variety of different colors, but they don't seem to do that. You know, if you're buying a Mac Mini, you're limited to the basic colors, which, I mean, who cares what color it is, but it is kind of cool to have a crazy color. And that's what I like about my mouse and keyboard. It's a crazy color. It's not a white or black mouse or keyboard. It's blue. So you do you. The speed of the Mac Mini M4. Now keep in mind, like I said, I've been using Mac since the old iMac, the CRT iMac, big fat Mac that was in a bunch of different colors, neon colors. This thing is a beast. I edit through 4K video like I'm filming this. This is a Sony Alpha camera, very high quality camera, and I'm editing through 4K video and 8K video that I film with this camera. This camera does 8K as well. It's flawless. I mean, it's so smooth. The editing is smooth. I add transitions in there. I do color grading. All of that is fast and smooth. And then obviously the export is smooth. And by the way, speaking of export from Final Cut Pro 10, from Final Cut Pro 11, I keep wanting to say 10 because Final Cut Pro 11 just came out. So from Final Cut Pro 11, once I've finished editing the project, the export of this, and like I said, I'm using the base Mac Mini M4. The only thing I upgraded was the storage. I went to 1 terabyte internal, as I mentioned earlier. But the export speed, check out my separate video because I've got a MacBook Pro M3 Pro. So that's the Pro version of the previous M series Apple Silicon chip. The Mac Mini M4, as you'll see within that video, the export time for it versus the MacBook Pro M3 Pro that I also use, wow, I was shocked. So the need to go and upgrade the processor in the Mac Mini from M4 to M4 Pro, unless you've got a very specialized use case, you know, you're you need that extra processing power, I think the M4, just the base M4, I think it's going to blow your mind. Now, you may want the M4 Pro. Now, if your budget, you're super wealthy and you don't care, go for the M4 Pro. Why not? It's going to be faster. And with the M4 Pro, you're also going to get those faster ports on the rear of the Mac Mini. What did I say? They're Thunderbolt 5, and then the Mac Mini M4 is the Thunderbolt 4. The reality is, my externally connected storage, and this is why I didn't go with the M4 Pro, the externally connected storage that I've linked my separate video explaining how to put it together yourself, takes a few minutes, that I could use a 40 gigabit per second enclosure, but I'm only using a very inexpensive 10 gigabit per second enclosure. So why would I need, for my use case, I'm getting it done with my externally connected SSD storage with 10 gigabits per second. I could put it in a more expensive 40 gigabit per second enclosure. Why do I need to go 4 times faster? I mean, it's already flawless. I mean, when I'm editing videos, I don't notice any speed constraints because I'm using a 10 gigabit per second SSD enclosure. And I say that because that port in my base model Mac Mini M4, I could use the 40 gigabit per second enclosure. Why would I need to go beyond that? I know in the future it's like everything else, things are going to become more advanced, but I think the additional cost to get those faster Thunderbolt ports on the rear that come with the M4 Pro, I don't think the cost is really worth it. I don't think there's enough use cases today to justify that. Now in the future, when I upgrade my Macs again in a few years, yes, that'll probably be the standard Thunderbolt speed then, but I don't see the business need to spend more and get the faster Thunderbolt ports. Or, like I said, I don't see the business need for me to spend more to go with the M4 Pro instead of just the M4 base like I use. But every user is different. The reason I'm saying all of this, for its most inexpensive point of entry, you can get by with the base model. And unless you're storing an abundance of applications, videos, and or photos locally, now keep in mind, a lot of your photos and videos, if you're just using an iPhone and you've got iCloud storage enabled, a lot of those will be stored off of your device in what's called the cloud, the internet, iCloud. So do you really need a Mac with, is the base model spec enough? For a lot of people it may be. You could probably go, definitely you could probably go base memory, which I did, 16 gigs. And you could, based upon your use case, the base storage may be more than enough for you. So I wanted to post this video because a lot of people will try to say, well, I need this, I need that. There's a difference between needs and wants when it comes to computing, and especially when you're dealing with the current generation of Apple Silicon, which is M4. It's so blazing fast that for most people there's really no need to spend more for faster. And if it starts to become, my thought process with Mac is this is not slowing down my workflow, which is 4K and 8K video editing for my channel, youtube.com/IRIXGuy, where you're watching this. There's no value add in me spending more. I can use this spec Mac Mini for potentially a few years and then upgrade, and when I upgrade, probably go to the base, to the base or close to the base spec of Mac Mini when I upgrade in a few years. So this is future-proofed enough for me. I don't need to spend more. It's not like I've got somebody that's, I'm an independent YouTube channel. I don't report to anyone. I'm my own boss. I don't have deadlines. It's not like, well, if I had the Mac, if I had the faster one, it would export faster. Yeah, it may be a few minutes or a few seconds faster, but who's sitting here timing me? Nobody. I'm at the Appalachian Ocean, bro. I'm at the Appalachian Ocean, and I'm my own boss. I'm the boss of the Appalachian Ocean. So for me to upgrade, there's no value add in spending more. My thing with all my businesses, spend the necessary amount. Keep it lean. And if there's a business need to spend more for something, product, a service, do it. If it enhances profitability, do it. But if there's no value add, why do it? I mean, that's all like, oh man, you're cooler than me. You got M4 Pro. I just got M4. I could care less what people think. But I hope this video helped. And again, for most people, base spec storage and base spec memory. But for other people, I would probably still go base spec memory, which is 16 gigs. If you want to upgrade the internal storage a little bit, you could. And keep in mind, take this away as well. If you go base spec and your storage starts to become a little bit tight, build you one of these external storage devices like I use at that point in time. You don't have to build one right now when you first order your Mac Mini. You could do that later as the need arises. So and like I said, I've linked all of this within this video's description, and you know, also the speakers like I use, the monitor like I use, the mouse and keyboard like I use. You can really build a nice and just warm and fuzzy feeling ecosystem around your Mac Mini. That's one of the best things about it. And you don't have to do it day one. I mean, you could get a Mac Mini, use your existing wired mouse and keyboard, or maybe you've got a Bluetooth mouse and keyboard, maybe you've already got a monitor. You could use that, and then if you chose to upgrade your monitor, mouse, and or keyboard in the future, and maybe speakers, you could do that. And that's what's cool about Mac Mini, because you get an iMac, the processor and everything is married to the device, married to the monitor. With Mac Mini, you've got a separate device. You bring your own monitor, you bring your own mouse, you bring your own keyboard. And then in a few years, or whatever your upgrade cycle is, just replace the Mac Mini and boom, you've already got probably a monitor, mouse, and keyboard that's probably still future-proofed. I mean, typically, monitors don't become obsolete as quickly as computers do. And I mean, I'm not going to say typically, I'll say that's probably fact. You know, right now 4K is kind of the norm. You know, there are some people using 8K, 5K, 6K, and potentially 8K displays, but those are very rare use cases. 4K is pretty much the norm today, and it'll probably remain the norm, I'm saying, for at least a few years. So I hope this video helped. Again, if you're shopping for Mac Mini, all the accessories, expand this video's description, and then click the links there. And if you got questions, comment down below, and I'll try my best to post a video response to your question or questions. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day. Hey y'all, iRick Sky here. I hope you enjoyed this video, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel, and when you do, ring that bell icon to be notified whenever I post another video. Thanks for your viewership, and y'all have a good day.